UFC Atlanta, Kamaru Usman versus Joaquin Buckley. This is the weigh-in recap show. We're going to go through, look at these fighters on the official scales, the ceremonial weigh-ins, and then we're going to wrap the video up going over Makai's money-making plays. Make sure you guys like, comment, and subscribe to the channel, and let's get this video underway. So I actually got the chance to go to my very first, I will be getting the chance to go to my very first UFC event this weekend, UFC Atlanta. I do live not too far from Atlanta, so I was able to, make the trip up here. And I actually made it to the ceremonial weigh-ins for, my very first event. This is actually super cool. I met some really cool people that actually subscribe to the channel. So if you guys are watching this, thank you for, the support and the cool conversations that we had talking about the fights and International Fight Week, a bunch of other stuff. So, quick shout outs to those guys. It was really cool meeting them. And, it just goes to show how, cool the MMA community could be. I met, another guy chilling there with his wife, and we discussed, our predictions on the fights, and we disagreed on a few of them, but it was pretty cool. And then, I met a couple fighters too. Juliana Miller was in the crowd right in front of me. Diego Lopez was there. I met and took a picture with Charles Johnson. I'll put it up so you guys could see. It was a, really cool event. And I never knew that they were free. If I would have known that, I probably would have been, flying around going to a bunch of these things. I don't know if it's new that they're doing them for free or what, but it was fun. The adrenaline is just building up in me. I'm ready to go see the fights, and going to the weigh-ins just made it that much more cool. But let's get the video underway. Quick breeze by of the card. On paper, I'll give the card like a 6, but with my boy Malcolm up here, you're gonna make that card a 10. Watch, mark my words. But first fight of the night, we got Vanessa Demopoulos versus Jamie Lynn Horth. The pick has been and is going to continue to be Jamie Lynn Horth. I think, she has the big size advantage here in this fight. She did look much larger than Vanessa, when they did their face off. Both of the ladies, made weight, no issues. I do think Jamie Lynn, I don't see her, getting taken down by Vanessa and Vanessa possibly finding a submission. I think Jamie Lynn will probably, use her striking ability. I do believe she's a better striker in this matchup to, win on the scorecards, get a 29-28 probably with a little bit of grappling threat from Vanessa, but I do expect Jamie Lynn to walk away victorious in this fight. Now, when we get to the scales, we have Vanessa here first. Made weight, no issues, looking pretty good. She is a strawweight fighter moving up to 126 on short notice as well. So she did look good for the weight. Then we'll look at Jamie Lynn. She looked to be, very shredded. Definitely looks to be like a what do we call this? Flyweight? A flyweight fighter. Yeah. And let's get to the ceremonial weigh-in. Vanessa showed up. She looked good. Definitely rehydrated pretty well. Even did a split. If you guys watched it live, I got to watch it live. If you get what I'm saying. And then here's Jamie Lynn. The size advantage is crazy. Definitely looking down on her. I think she could tee her up with some pretty good straight shots. The jab should be working for her. Probably catch Vanessa trying to close distance with a couple hooks too. I don't think she knocks her out or gets a knockdown or anything, but I think Jamie Lynn will have, a pretty good fight on her hands and walk away with the win on the scorecards. Next up, we got Philly Fresh Phil Rowe versus LOOSA. I'm picking Phil Rowe. He's an underdog in this matchup as well. Size advantage again, similar to the Demopoulos and Jamie Lynn Horth fight. Phil Rowe, he's super long for this division. He's got an 80 and a half inch reach compared to LOOSA's only at 74. I think he could sting him up. That jab is perfect for, well, not perfect, but he has a really good jab. He sets up the straight right after that pretty well too. When I look at LOOSA, he's a solid kickboxer. The takedowns are decent. I don't think he's like this great wrestler, you know what I'm saying? I know Phil Rowe has been taken down in the past, especially in his fight against Jake Matthews, but Jake Matthews is more creative of an MMA fighter than LOOSA. I think he mixes in the grappling and the striking far better than LOOSA. And if you compare, where both of these fighters have been, not Phil Rowe, but Jake Matthews and LOOSA. Jake Matthews has fought, you know, some of the really toughest guys in the division. You know, his last fight, not his last fight, but he fought Michael Morales not too long ago, 5-round main event, went all 5 rounds with him, which was pretty impressive seeing what Michael Morales was able to do against a Gilbert Burns, against a Neil Magny. So I weigh the Jake Matthews loss, you know, I don't give him too much flack for that. Had a really tough fight with Neil Magny as well, who 2 years ago was still competitive, whereas, you know, rather recently has been, you know, kind of getting walked on. But I think Phil Rowe is going to touch Ange LOOSA up. I think there is a potential for a knockout in this fight. I'm not saying he will, but I think, like I said, I don't think Ange LOOSA is going to be taking Phil Rowe down from start to bottom. If you look at the matchup with Rhys McKee, he was getting touched up late in that fight too. His gas tank was a little iffy. Got the no contest with Brian Battle. He was getting touched up in that fight, and then he lost by Bonfim his last outing. Ange LOOSA is like a middle of the pack type of guy. I think Phil Rowe is a guy that can beat him. He just needs to go out there and do it. Now let's look at the scales. Here's Ange LOOSA. He's a pretty, you know, jacked dude. I know, you know, the size is pretty imposing, I guess I'll say. You know, the physicality is imposing. But like I said, I'm not a big Ange LOOSA guy. I know he went, you know, to a decision with JDM on their Contender Series fight, but could all just be in timing, you know what I'm saying? Here's Phil Rowe. Dude is, you know, he's super lean. He's super long for the division, like I said. Doesn't look to be, you know, like the scariest welterweight on the planet or anything like that. But let's look at the ceremonials. Here's Ange. Like I said, he's, you know, he's shredded. He's jacked. Here's Phil Rowe. Got a little pop from the crowd, too. We were all cheering USA. Definitely want to see the USA guy get a win here. This size difference was shocking. I did not expect Phil Rowe to be this much taller than Ange LOOSA. It looked even, you know, more significant in person. I think him punching down, he's going to have a better chance of, you know, catching Ange LOOSA before LOOSA is of catching him. So give me Phil Rowe, dog money to win this fight. He was, you know, I was considering him as lock of the week too, but I'll give Ange LOOSA a little bit of credit in the wrestling department. He's not the greatest. He's not the worst, but I think Phil Rowe could walk away victorious in this one. Next up, we got Ricky Simón taking on the short notice replacement of Cameron Smotherman. I've been picking Ricky Simón. I think the pressure is going to be too much for Cam Smotherman. You know, he had some issues in his last fight against Siri City, who is a pretty long, lanky bantamweight. I wouldn't say this matchup favors him even, you know, better, because Ricky Simón's pressure is pretty, you know, incredible. You know, he's coming out this knockout over Basharat. Does he knock out Smotherman? I don't think so. I think he'll put a pace on him. Maybe he could TKO, you know, get like a ground and pound finish, but I don't think he's going to lay Cameron Smotherman out. He's still young. He's still athletic. I will say, you know, I did pick him as lock of the week against this Siri City matchup. Ultimately, you know, failed, not terribly, but he looked a little gun shy. Maybe the range, he couldn't figure it out. He doesn't have a reach advantage. He does have a height advantage in this fight. So, I mean, maybe that'll work in his favor a little bit. But coming in on short notice against a full prepped Ricky Simón, who's been pretty tough for everybody. You know, you look at this 3-fight losing streak, Vinicius Oliveira, who's a dog. He just beat, who was it? One of the Nurmagomedovs or one of their cousins. Damn, I can't think of his name. But I picked Vinicius as the underdog in that fight. Mario Batista, who we just saw beat the living, you know, crap out of Apache Mix, and then Song Yadong knocked him out. But Song Yadong has been a staple of the bantamweight division. So give me Ricky Simón, big favorite here too. I do think he walks away victorious. Here's Cameron Smotherman. Never been, you know, super cut or super lean, and especially coming in on short notice, he was just super happy to make the weight. And here is Ricky Simón, dude is shredded, 135. I don't know how he makes it. He looks pretty big for 135. There's Cameron at the ceremonials. And here's Ricky, shredded. Like I said, dude got muscles in his armpits. You know what I'm saying? There's a face-off. Slight height advantage for Cameron. Does have his arms do look to be longer, but he doesn't really have he doesn't have longer arms. I think Ricky can definitely pressure him, tire him out, utilize the grappling. Maybe he could find a submission in this fight. Maybe that's the money call right there. Ricky Simone by submission, probably like late second round. But I'm going with Ricky Simone to ultimately win. Next up, we got one of the Georgia boys, Cody Durden versus Jose Ochoa. I think this has potential to be a fight of the night. I think both of these guys are going to come super high pace, super high action, especially Jose Ochoa. You know, he is young in his career. He's still trying to, you know, make a name for himself. He's coming off this loss against Loner Kavanaugh. That fight was pretty impressive on both fronts. Jose Ochoa is pretty slick. He could get, you know, some standing submissions off. He's got a few. I think he got, this Anaconda choke, I believe it was a standing finish too. Cody Durden, he's always here to fight. You know, last time out he did get, you know, pieced up by Joshua Van, but he did hold his own at least in the first round, utilize some takedown threats. He's got the ninja choke over Matt Schnell, was, you know, going for broke in that fight. He definitely, you know, came and showed up, got that impressive dub. Bruno Silva, he was taking it to Bruno Silva early. He almost knocked him out, and then, you know, ultimately got knocked out. And then Tagir Ulanbekov submission, it's pretty forgivable. Jake Hadley win. Jake Hadley is out of the UFC now, so I guess, you know, where do you rate that win? But Cody Durden is live in this fight. I've been saying it. I think he could have some successful moments. It's just, is it time for the young guy to take him out? I think Cody Durden is definitely going to, you know, hold his ground. I don't think he's going to get walked over. If he gets knocked out, then I think it'll be maybe like a counter shot. I don't just see him, you know, coming out and just getting flatlined. I think Cody Durden is definitely looking to win. He had a lot of people in the crowd with him too. Definitely was the aggressor in the face-off. So let me hurry up and get to the scales. Here's Jose. Screamed, was definitely excited to make the weight. Probably just excited to be back. You know, the young dudes, they're liking the fight as frequently as they can. Here's Cody, made the weight. I mean, he looked solid, looked ready. Definitely looked ready at the ceremonials. So let's get to that. Here's Jose, looks pretty good on the scales. Definitely rehydrated pretty well. Here's Cody. He looks good, man. You know, he's training damn near maybe an hour away. So he was definitely prepped for this, prepped and ready for this fight. Here's the face off. Cody actually pulled his hand, you know, like pulled him towards him, show him, you know, this is my hometown. You ain't about to come in here and beat me. But I think this definitely has potential to be fight of the night. But I'm gonna lean on the younger guy to get it done. Give me Jose Ochoa to ultimately win. Next up, we got Malcolm Wellmaker taking on Chris Moutinho, excuse me. Hey, look, I'm going to call it like it is. Looking at Chris, you know, at the ceremonials, that boy does not look like he ready. He still looking, you know, a little blubbery in the belly, if you know what I'm saying. Malcolm Wellmaker's going to knock this dude out. Not because I think it's going to happen, but I know it's going to happen. He's going to knock him out inside of 2 rounds. It's the speed, the timing, the precision, the accuracy, the youth, the power. He's got it all. I'm telling you, he's going to put Chris Moutinho's lights out. And it's not going to look like the Sean O'Malley finish. It's going to look like a Malcolm Wellmaker finish. And give me Malcolm Wellmaker inside of 2 rounds. That's all I need to say for here. Let's get to the scales. Here's Chris. Like I said, didn't really look like he was training hard for this fight. I mean, he made the weight. Of course, he did. Respect to him for making his way back to the UFC. I got to say that. But you got a little bit too much dip on your chip, my boy. I think he's going to get knocked out. I know he's going to get knocked out. Here's Malcolm. Shredded, ripped, prepared for this fight. He going to put that boy lights out, I'm telling you. Here's the ceremonials. Here's Chris. He looks good, I guess, right? You know, it doesn't got the green hair, so definitely matured, I guess. He looks older, I'll say that, or like worn down a little bit in the face if you really look close. Here's Malcolm. That boy amped, he ready. I'm telling you, he's going to do it again. Here's the face off. You can see the size difference. Look at Malcolm and then look at Chris. Chris looked like he just got off the couch and took it because it was a check. And I think he knows he's about to get put to sleep too. This long neck, this long fat little neck on him. Let me not get carried away. I got a little, you know, I'm cool with Malcolm, so I'm trying not to bash the opponent, because I do respect Chris for taking the fight, but I'm telling you, he's gonna get knocked out. So Malcolm WELLMAKER by knockout. I'm not gonna go no further. Malcolm by knockout. I'll save all my trash talk for when I'm actually at the fight. I'll do that. Next up, we got the OGs. Michael Chiesa versus Court McGee. I think Michael Chiesa gets it done. Sub or decision. I know it's probably, not cool to bet on, but I do think Michael Chiesa, he's got less tread on it, Court has less tread on the tires. Michael probably still has, like, I'll say max 3 more fights in him. I think Court could be live for a retirement after this fight. I don't like Michael Chiesa striking. Court McGee's a better striker, but I think Michael Chiesa will have the better physicality at 170. I think he could definitely take Court McGee down, probably get on his back and get a rear naked choke. He is on his 2-fight, sub streak, so I definitely think he's looking for another one. Coming off these 3 losses, Luke subbed him up. Sean Brady beat him, decision, and then he got subbed up by Kevin Holland. And then Court McGee, he went on this little stretch of getting knocked out. He's definitely not fighting a fighter who can knock him out. Michael Chiesa, I don't think Michael Chiesa has a knockout on his record. No knockouts for Michael Chiesa, right? Yep. So you can definitely tell Michael Chiesa doesn't have a power threat. Submission call, everybody's on it. I'm pretty sure it'll probably come true too. And give me Michael Chiesa to win. Here's the weigh-ins. Court looks like, your uncle. He looks okay. Definitely not like, this is a 170 OG that's just not going to get, ran through. Not that Michael Chiesa runs through him, but I don't think Court McGee's winning this fight. Here's Chiesa. Looks to be a little bit in better shape. You could definitely tell he's getting, beat up in the sparring a little bit. Got the rock in the black eye. But it just goes to show that, he's putting in the work. He's still got a little bit more time on him. Here's the ceremonials. Here's Court. Definitely a little wider. Here's Chiesa. A little bit more, definition to the muscles, especially in the abs and the biceps, I'll say. Yeah. Here's a face-off. Chiesa, slight, size advantage. I do think he gets under that chin and finds a choke. Maybe even I'll go with a choke. I think Chiesa gets it done. 3rd round submission. I'll say that because Court is pretty tough. So give me 3rd round submission for Michael Chiesa. Next up for the prelim finale, the rebooking of Paul Craig versus Rodolfo Bellato. Most intense face-off on the night, I have to say. Definitely thought they were about to, get into it. Paul Craig fighting for his job. Bellato fighting to put Paul Craig out of the UFC. So it's high stakes on this one. Going with Bellato, I think he gets it done by a knockout. I don't think Paul Craig is going to find, a submission off of his back. I think when he gets put on his back, it's because his eyes are rolling to the back of his head. Bellato, the better striker. Paul Craig was struggling to strike with Bo Nickel. He got knocked out by Caio and then subbed out by Brendan Allen, Rodolfo Bellato has been fighting true 205ers, whereas Paul Craig was losing and getting knocked out by 185ers. So give me the bigger man, the naturally bigger, 205er, who's been, he got touched up in the Potiera fight. He, almost got put out. He got touched up by Jimmy Crute, but these are 205ers, not getting, clipped by 185ers, not getting knocked out by them. So give me Bellato, inside the distance, knockout for sure. Wouldn't be surprised if he gets a submission either because, it's something that he just wants to prove. But I do think he's just going to walk forward and blitz Paul Craig and put his lights out. Here's Bellato. He weighed in not too long ago because of the fight cancellation. But, he still looks to be in shape. I don't think gas will be a problem for him. And if he does get knocked down, which won't happen, he'll just get right back up. Here's Paul Craig. Always been pretty intense at the at the weigh-ins, at the face-offs. And I got it, like I said earlier, this face-off was super intense. They both came out with the face paint. Here's Bellato looking like a damn Hulk. Here is Paul Craig. Tried to rip the shirt, if you could see a little bit. Definitely couldn't come out of it though. That nylon super stretchy, man. You gotta prep that cut. You know what I'm saying? Cut the shirt, then rip it and pull it apart. But yeah, it was a failure for Paul Craig, and I think it's going to be a failure for Paul Craig tomorrow night. Here's the face off. You know, they was damn near about to kiss. That's how intense they got. And they were, they were in there for probably like 2 minutes. But yeah, give me Bellato to get the knockout. Maybe first round. Maybe that's the DJ and call it a night. Bellato first round knockout. Odds probably aren't that good, but I do think Bellato is live for a knockout in the first round. And moving on to the main card, make sure you guys like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. We got Alonzo Atomic MEINEFIELD taking on Umar Sy. Yo, Umar made Alonzo look like a damn welterweight. That's how huge this guy is. I said, damn, I didn't think he was that big. Huge size advantage, huge reach advantage. Dude's got an 83-inch reach compared to Alonzo at 76. Method of victory, I don't know. Umar's got some really good wrestling. The kickboxing isn't too far behind either. Alonzo, he's always got that power threat, but he's not accurate with his shots. He's not intelligent with what he goes into the octagon and chooses to do. So that's why, the line is what it is. And I do believe Umar Sy gets a finish in this one. Here they are on the scales. Umar. Yeah, the pictures don't do it justice. When you get when we get to the ceremonial weigh-ins, this dude was towering over Alonzo, and it looked crazy. I never seen Alonzo MEINEFIELD look that small. Here's Alonzo. He's always been, super jacked, super ripped for the division. Here is the ceremonials. There's Umar, rehydrated. Looks solid. Here's Alonzo. Excuse me. Here's Alonzo. I mean, it looks good, but let's get to the face-off. Yeah, this picture isn't even doing it justice. Umar Sy was damn near looking completely down on Alonzo MEINEFIELD. That's how, significant the height advantage was for him. I think he could finish this fight inside the distance. I don't know if it's going to be submission or a decision, but I do think he's going to get Alonzo MEINEFIELD out of there. You got to think, Alonzo was struggling with Julius Walker last time out, and I don't think, I do think Umar Sy is definitely a lot more technical than a Julius Walker, and I think he could definitely find a finish in this fight. So give me Umar Sy inside the distance. Next up, we got Cody Brundage taking on Mansour Abdul Malik. Looking at this fight, Mansour actually had to weigh in twice. First time he weighed in, he came in at 187. Went back, I think like 5 minutes later, came right back out, weighed in, did look a little woozy on the scale, but he made weight. So shout out to him for not having to, miss weight and get, penalized. I am picking Mansour Abdul Malik, but I will say there is a little bit of hesitation on this fight. Looking at his last matchup with Nick Klein, he did get stung up with that big spinning elbow. I think there is a chance for Mansour to get hurt in this fight, but he does recover and he does get right back on the pressure. He did say, he fell in love with the pressure in with pressuring in his fight against Nick Klein, and not he wasn't concerned with what was coming back, which is why he did get clipped. Whereas, on Cody Brundage's side, he will, throw some big bombs towards him. If you look at his fight with Julian Marquez, he was getting clipped in that fight, but he was winning the fight, got clipped, and then ultimately, found the finish. I think if Cody comes back and takes that same approach, I think he's definitely capable of knocking out Mansour Abdul Malik. He has more fights than him. He's more experienced. He's been in there with some tough guys. I mean, Zach Reese, he did get that, the slam knockout over win. Jacob Malkoun, DQ victory. Lost to Bo Nickel. He's got the no contest against Abdul Razak where he was getting crushed. Mansour just can't give him a way out. That's the only thing. Cody will take advantage of, if you're hitting me illegally, hey, I'm out of there. But I do think Mansour Abdul Malik handles Cody Brundage. Probably ground and pound TKO. That's what I'm leaning on. That has been his preferred method of victory too. So yeah, give me Mansour Abdul, and let's get to the scales. Here he is. This was the second attempt. He came back. He was like, hey, my bad. I'm not missing weight, not trying to get, fined that 20%, or I think it's 25% now. 25% ain't no joke. So definitely came back, made the weight, and he's ready to go. Here's Cody. Looks to be in better shape than what I've seen from him previously, if my my memory is correct. But he does look to be in better shape. I'm not gonna say Cody Brundage is trash or anything like that. He's definitely live in the fight. He's capable of throwing, some big shots. Maybe he catches Mansoor. You never know. Big upset. But I am going with Mansoor. Here is the ceremonials. I think Cody had a few people in the crowd too. He doesn't live or I believe his family doesn't live too far away from Atlanta, so it's cool to see that for him too. Here's Mansoor. I mean, he looks okay. Here's the face-off. Pretty even in the physicality. You could definitely tell Mansoor's a lot larger, but not significantly. But I'm going with Mansoor. I think he gets it done, probably by a knockout too. Next up, we got the lock of the week, Cody Garbrandt. Cody No Love Garbrandt taking on BARCELOS. I'm telling you, man, Cody still got hand speed. He's still the more experienced fighter. He's got the, he was a former champion, whereas BARCELOS, he's been average, middle of the pack type of guy for a majority of his career. He was getting compared to Jose Aldo, but he's nowhere near Jose Aldo. BARCELOS, he's going to have that Muay Thai approach. Cody has definitely seen it before. I don't see BARCELOS wrestling Cody up like he did to Peyton Talbot. Peyton couldn't defend a takedown to save his life, whereas Cody has some really good wrestling, and I do believe he will be able to defend the takedown attempts from BARCELOS. I think Cody is definitely live for a knockout too. So give me the younger, more experienced, more performative fighter as well. And I was listening back to Cody's media day. He said he had vertigo in that Davison Figueiredo fight. He said when he got taken down, he felt like the entire octagon was spinning. He knew his corner was on his right side, but that was all that he was able to tell. So the transition from the arm triangle to the rear naked choke definitely was unable to, defend correctly. And that's why he's been out for so long. If you look, he was supposed to fight Miles Johns twice in October and in November, but he had to pull out because of the vertigo. He was, puking both times when those fights were trying to be booked. So I do like Cody Garbrandt's chances in this fight. I do believe he's going to win. Method of victory, I think he's capable of a knockout. I think he's capable of outstriking BARCELOS for 3 rounds. So give me the former champion lock of the week to win this fight. Let's hit the scales. Here's Raoni. Looked a little bit sunken in. He's almost 40, but he did look good on the scales. Here's Cody with the glasses covering up the new face tat, the new hairdo. He's got a few new tattoos. You know what I'm saying? Give me Cody No Love, man. Here's the face-offs. We were booing Raoni, I ain't gonna lie. Especially me. Here's Cody. Pretty sick tattoo right here. That's a lot. I wouldn't get that done. Here's the face-off. Cody stitched up. I think he's going to find Raoni's chin, man. He's going to defend the takedowns and fight him with a counter shot. The speed is just too much to overlook in this matchup. So give me Cody Garbrandt. Lock of the week. We locking it in. Plus 175. I think Cody Garbrandt I know Cody Garbrandt is going to get it done. Next up to the featured fight of the night, we got Edmund SHAHBAZYAN taking on Andre Petrosky. I have been picking Edmund, but I will say there is a threat of Andre Petrosky taking him down and submitting him. We have seen Edmund fade, later in fights, especially in a GM3 matchup where he had GM3 hurt early and then ultimately fumbled the bag and got submitted. Andre Petrosky's wrestling is okay. He is still pretty green on the feet, which is why I'm favoring Edmund SHAHBAZYAN. If Edmund could, maintain the range, maintain the kickboxing, or make it a kickboxing match, I'm definitely favoring Edmund SHAHBAZYAN all day. If he goes into the later rounds, then, maybe a live bet for Andre Petrosky to get it done on the scorecards or by a submission. But I think Edmund SHAHBAZYAN can knock him out here. So let's move to the weigh-ins. Here is Petrosky. He's pretty suited and booted for 185. He looks pretty good. Got the blonde hair going. May weight, no issues. Here's Edmund. Weight, no issues. Looks to be like his normal self. Let's get to the ceremonials. Here's Andre. Looks pretty good at 185. I gotta say, he's pretty jacked. Here's Edmund. Never really been much of a muscular dude. Definitely was pretty pasty. I'll tell you that. Here's the face off. You can see the height advantage for Edmund. Longer arms as well. Petrosky, like Andre's always got that wrestler's chance where he could possibly take down Edmund, like in the second round. After Edmund possibly gasses out, takes him down, secures him for the rest of the round, and steal it on the scorecards, or maybe even find a submission. But I do believe Edmund Shabazian is going to find the piece to the puzzle and knock out Andre Petrosky, who has been knocked out before. He got knocked out by Jacob Malkoun. After running into his hip, he got knocked out by Michel Pieta, who's also a freak at 185. Also just got, checked by Anthony Hernandez. But I'm going with the Golden Boy. I think he could put it together one more time. So give me Edmund Shabazian for knockout or decision. And to the co-main event of the evening, we got Thug Rose NAMAJUNAS taking on Miranda Fear the Maverick. I'm going with Miranda. I've been picking her since we did the predictions. I'm not gonna change my pick either. I think Miranda has the better physicality. I think she could take Rose down. I think she can secure some timely takedowns, some ground control. I think Rose's striking hasn't looked different. She's not the fastest striker either. I know a lot of people are like, oh, Rose, she's super slick and her striking speed is this and that. But I don't think Rose is the slickest striker. I don't think Rose is one of the slickest strikers at 125. And, she's lost to wrestlers up at 125 and Manon Fior, who is pretty large for the division. Manon, just lost to Valentina, but did give her a pretty tough fight. I know she did break her pinky in that fight, but I mean, we could chuck that one up. It's Manon Fior. She's just number one in the world. Erin Blanchfield, who also has a strength advantage over Rose NAMAJUNAS, was able to do what she did in that fight. Ultimately did lose the first 2 rounds, but Rose has been a 5-round fighter for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 fights in a row now, whereas Miranda Maverick is a 3-round fighter who will start faster, knows how to, pace herself for the 3 rounds. Not saying that Rose doesn't. It's just she's been a 5-round fighter for so much longer, so that could possibly make her, start later in the fight. Second round, she starts to kick it up, you know what I'm saying? I think Miranda's going to take Rose down, secure some takedowns, and get some ground control. I think she's going to touch her up, in the guard position. Striking, I'll give Rose the edge, but like I said, I don't think she's the slickest. I don't think she's the quickest. I think Miranda Maverick could definitely hold her own on the feet too, and I think she's live to be a dog in this fight. I think she's somewhere around like a plus 200 underdog in this matchup. So I gotta take the value there. So give me Miranda Maverick by decision. Do think this fight goes over. And here is these ladies on the scales. Miranda, she's got some pretty long hair, but definitely looks to be stronger than Thug Rose, who is the natural strawweight. You got to remember that too. Rose is coming up. Here's Rose. She's always, looked the same, never been the strongest looking lady, in the division. I do think Miranda Maverick gets it done. Here they are. You can definitely see she's, cut up, definitely ready for this fight, taking on a former champion. I think she's taking this fight super serious and definitely trying to get Rose on her resume. Here's Rose. She looks cool. She kind of reminds me of it's an actor that played I can't think of the name, but if you know the movie I'm talking about, drop it down in the comments. But she looks like that actor. It was like a assassin type of movie, something like that. That's what Rose looks like. Unless that was Rose and I'm just, an idiot. But yeah, here's the face-off. Slight height advantage for Rose, but I don't think it's going to matter in this matchup. I think Miranda's going to close the distance, probably tie up with her, be the dirtier fighter in this one, not allow Rose to stay outside and pepper her up with, her striking style. So give me the underdog, Miranda Maverick, to walk away victorious by decision. And for the main event of the evening, we got Kamaru, the Nigerian Nightmare Usman, taking on Joaquin New Mansa Buckley. Super intense face off. I'm going with Buckley. I'm sticking with the pick. I think he can win a hard 5-round fight against Kamaru Usman. I will lean Buckley the earlier, probably round 1, 2, and 3. And then we'll see Usman start to kick it up 4 and 5 if he's able to last that long. Because I do think Buckley knockout is definitely live too. The way that he's able to slip and rip and explode, that knockout over Stephen Thompson was crazy. He was losing. I would say he was probably down 1 round. I don't remember the scorecards off the top of my head. But the way he was able to close the distance and just lunge and throw that hook, it was nasty. Buckley's definitely got the power in his advantage, or power advantage in his matchup. He's got the agility. He's able to cut angles that Kamaru Usman can't cut because of, his knees. And Kamaru Usman has never been a super slick, mover. He's not really dancing around the octagon. Whereas Joaquin, he's very, his movement is pretty quick action. I can't think of the word I was trying to say. Kamaru is more, he's going to walk forward, he's going to press forward, he's going to fake the takedown, he's going to show you, the jab to the body, the jab upstairs. He's very, he picks and chooses when he's going to enter. And I think Joaquin Buckley isn't going to allow that. I think he's going to chop at the legs. There's going to be a little something new added to his game. I think the high kicks will definitely be there for him. A lot of people forget that Buckley does have some pretty good high kicks. He's got the knockout over, it was before this run. Fiallo, I think his name was. Yeah, Andre Fiallo head kick, round 2. Nasty head kick. So Buckley, he's definitely a 3-level striker. It's just, I think people forget that. He's got, obviously we know the crazy knockout that he had a few years ago, that spinning wheel kick damn near. But I think he can beat a Kamaru Usman. I know Usman's on his 3-fight skid, and I'm not, knocking Usman at all. He's one of my favorite fighters of all time. I think he's definitely live to, beat a Buckley, maybe catch him with a straight shot, knock him out, because Buckley has been knocked out in the past, whereas Usman's only been knocked out, the one time by Leon, the flash head kick round 5 after getting completely beat up the entire fight. But Joaquin Buckley is not the same striker that Kamaru Usman has ever seen. He's going to slip and rip, literally. He's going to tear up the body. He's going to tear up the head. I think he's going to, incorporate some leg kicks too. He might even flash his own takedowns. And Joaquin Buckley has some pretty good takedown defense, especially down at 170, where he more than likely is the larger fighter in the matchups. So give me Joaquin Buckley. I think the youth gets it done here. I don't think the OG is coming back around for another title fight. I know he's been calling for it. He wants to fight Islam because he believes Islam is going to beat JDM. Then he wants to move up to 185 and fight DDP in Africa. I don't think so, Kamaru, man. And I love Kamaru Usman. He's, like I said, he's one of my favorite fighters, but this layoff is just too much, He's fighting, he hasn't fought in 2 years, damn near. I know it was a tough fight with Hamzat, but Hamzat isn't even a striker that Joaquin Buckley is. Hamzat striking might be overrated. He's got power, but when Gilbert Burns was able to touch him up, I give him a lot of flack for that fight. Yeah, Hamzat striking might be overrated. But that's for the DDP fight. We'll get to that. Let's get to the scales. Here's Joaquin. He looks pretty good for 170. Here is Kamaru. Another picture of Joaquin, excuse me. Here's Kamaru. Kamaru always looks impressive on the scales. Dude is cut, ripped from head to toe, for real. Super physical dude. Let's get to the face-offs because we had a little bit of a surprise too. Here's Joaquin. He looks good. 170, probably 180 up in this picture. Looks ripped. Kamaru walks out with Francis Ngannou, who you all know had, the situation go on over in Cameroon. He lost his child, bless his heart, because that's, super terrible to go through. The knockout from Anthony Joshua. It's been a rough, 2.5 years for Francis Ngannou, but it was super exciting to see him, come out with Kamaru with the face paint, the Nigerian face paint. That's brought back, a lot of old memories. The three kings, the three African kings, Izzy, Francis, and Kamaru, they were all champions at the same time. It would have been awesome to see Izzy, show up here for Kamaru. But Francis coming out definitely shocked a lot of people because of Francis' relationship with Dana White, So it was super cool to see Francis Ngannou. Here's Kamaru on the scales. Dude is ripped, bro. Dude is ripped. Can't take that away from him. And here's the face-off. Now, I know it looks like Kamaru's towering over Buckley, but Kamaru had on shoes with like a 2-inch platform, so he's not that much taller than him. He is taller than him, but not by that much. But I do think, Buckley's head movement is pretty good. It is kind of, you could, definitely time it. But Usman's more of a straight shot type of guy, the jab, the two. His hooks are a little bit more wild, and he throws them kind of like from the hips too. I think Buckley's going to explode on Usman. I think he could definitely get a knockout, or it could just go 5 hard, Usman hasn't really been cut up a lot in his fights. I know his lip was busted in the Kobe fight, I think it was. But other than that, he's never really been split open. But maybe that's a possibility for Buckley in this fight too, another TKO stoppage. But I do see Buckley defending the early takedowns, at least from Usman. I do see him slipping and ripping, catching Usman, maybe even knock him down early in the fight, knock that ring rust off of Usman. It's just been too long for me to pick Usman confidently in this matchup. I do love Usman, but I do think, it might be time to hang him up. He can, compete with a couple of other guys just for fun, but like, when you get into that point, there's really no point to do it anymore. You know what I'm saying? I think Usman was one of the greatest welterweight champions of all time. He is one of the greatest welterweight champions of all time. But I do think it is time for the new blood. The Michael Morales, Ian Gary, I guess, Sean Brady, Shavkat. Who else we got? I can't think of Carlos Prates. You know what I'm saying? The new age welterweight division is beefing up, and I do think we see another new age welterweight get a W this coming Saturday at UFC Atlanta. So give me Buckley, knockout or decision. Now let's pull up Makai's money making plays so we can make some money this weekend. We got the over 2.5 Rose versus Maverick, over 2.5 Jamie Lynn. I put Worth. I meant Horth. Sorry about that. Versus Vanessa, and then Phil Rowe money line plus 215. Then we got Wellmaker, Bellato, KO, Umar C inside the distance plus 260. Jose Ochoa money line, Chiesa sub, and Edmund money line plus 602. Then we got Michael Chiesa sub, Buckley knockout, and over 1.5. And oh man, my spelling was all the way off. Durden, not Duron, versus Ochoa. Plus 1,000 to wrap up Makai's money making plays. We got the lock of the week, Cody Garbrandt, to get it done as well. So I'm definitely looking forward to making some money on this card. Let me know what you guys think of the final predictions. You think Usman's gonna get it done? You think I'm wrong on the lock? You think Barcelos is gonna, sleep Cody, similar to what Davison did? Do you think Cody Durden gets it done? Do you think Wellmaker gets the first round knockout or the second round knockout? Let me know in the comments. Whatever you guys want to say, drop a W in the comments. If you don't have anything to say, thank you for tuning in, and I will see you guys for the full card recap immediately once I return from UFC Atlanta. Thank you guys for tuning in. I'll catch you on the next one.